So owning your own home feels like you've made it, right? No more rent, no more chasing your landlord to fix the dishwasher. Freedom, right? And now, big news. Eigenmietwert, the tax for living in your own home, might finally be gone. So naturally, everyone is asking, does this mean now is the best time to buy property in Switzerland? So well, let's break it down today. And hey, it's Charlene, your Zurich-based investment coach, and this is the channel I share my 10 years banking and investing experience with you all for free. Like and subscribe for more. So I see it all the time. Buying property in Switzerland feels like the ultimate financial milestone for a lot of high earners. So property here is stable, physical, touchable, and tangible. So you're not just like wasting money on rent, and now no more Eigenmietwert, even better, right? So just imagine you buy a 3.5 room apartment in Zurich, let's say 75 square meters, maybe 20,000 per square meter, and that is how much? That is 1.5 million. So with a minimum 20%, which is 300K in down payment, and people think, if I can afford the down payment, why wouldn't I buy? And now let's talk about what really changes after Eigenmietwert. So first is the quick explainer, okay? So Eigenmietwert, so I hope I pronounced it correctly. I'm still working on my German. So what is it, right? It's a tax you pay for living in your own home. So yes, really. So the government says, congrats, you bought a place. And now pretend you're renting it to yourself and pay tax on that imaginary rent. So I know, wild, right? So, but this is how the system worked for so many decades in Switzerland. And now it's finally changing. So Eigenmietwert is being phased out. So not everywhere, not overnight, but the writing is on the wall. So what does that actually mean for you? So it means that you are no longer paying income tax on the rental value of your own home. But you might also lose the right to deduct mortgage, interest, and renovation fees, for example. So in the past, yes, you pay tax on the imaginary rental income, but you could also deduct your real, for example, mortgage interest and maintenance, right? So now with Eigenmietwert disappearing, so you save on one side, no more tax on the imaginary rent, but you lose on the other, which is more deductions. And here is where it gets interesting. So for example, if you have a big mortgage and a lot of maintenance costs, the old system might save you more money. Why? Because the deduction could be bigger than the money you saved on tax. But if your mortgage is small, or if you almost paid off, and you know this change is great news for you, right? So you stop paying tax on imaginary income and you're not deducting much anyways. So what I want you to say is that is Eigenmietwert, this kind of thing is gone? Is it really good news or bad? So it really depends. Depends on your income, depends on your mortgage, and also depends on your canton. There's actually no universal answer to it. So it's a trade-off, not a clear win. So which is why before jumping into property, you need to run the numbers for your case. And now let's run the numbers. So let's say if you're eyeing, for example, 1.5 Swiss francs apartment here, nice place, not in the city, but still in Zurich, for example, it feels like a smart move. You put down 20%, so that is how much? That is 300K, right? Upfront. And you take out the mortgage for the remaining 1.2 million, right? So now with today's interest rates, let's say around 1.3%, something like that. So let's just UBS 10-year rate as an example here, as you can see. So that is 15,480 per year in interest payments. But that's just the start. And you will also pay maintenance costs, actually it's about 1% per year. It depends on the age of the property, if it's new or old. So let's just calculate with 1%. So that is around 15,000 annually. And then the one most people forget is the upfront costs. So let's say notary fees, land registry, and property transfer tax. And this can vary by canton. And just to play it safe, let's use an estimation on compares.ch. It says, up to 5% additional fees. And if we use 5% for your 1.5 million apartment, that's another 75,000. Yes, 75,000 francs gone before you even move in. So now, of course, I want you to say, it could be less, right? Up to 5%. But if you want to be smart, plan with a higher number. It's always better to overestimate than be caught off guard. So what I want to say here is that no, buying a home isn't just about the down payment. It's also about, the ongoing costs, maintenance fees, and other additional costs that come with it as well. And honestly, I see so many people completely ignore this part. They only focus on the 300K down, but forget the extra upfront, plus the yearly costs that follow. And now let's talk about opportunity cost. So what if you invested instead? So if you already follow me for a while, you already know I'm not against buying property. Me, myself, is a property owner. But what I'm really against is throwing your entire life savings into just property blindly without a strategy, just because property is easier to understand for normal people. You shouldn't just do it right away. So let's look at the opportunity cost. Opportunity cost in finance, or here, it means what if instead of using that 300K as a down payment, you invested. And here I'm not talking about just gambling on cryptocurrency or buying a few stocks here and there or some ETFs here and there as well. What I mean is to build a solid, diversified investment portfolio aligned with your life goals and your timeline. So historically, global equities, let's just use, for example, MSCI World, or we can use the US index S&P 500, have returned about 8 to 10% annually over the long term. So of course, past performance is not, equal to future results, right? But let's assume 8% return for this exercise, okay? And here's what happens to your 300K if you invest it. So let's use the compound interest calculator from the US Securities and Exchange Commission. So this 300K after 10 years, that is 648,000. And after 20 years, that is nearly 1.4 million. And after 30 years, that is over 3 million. And the best part, it's liquid, it's diversified, it's flexible, and you do not have to fix the roof, repaint the walls, or beg tenants to pay you money. And of course, you may argue that, property market can go up in the future as well. I mean, of course, investing also carries risk, and markets go up and down. So does real estate. So again, I'm not saying don't buy any property. I'm more saying, run the numbers and ask yourself, is this the best move for my money based on my life goals? Because the best investment isn't breaks, it is clarity and a smart strategy. And now let's talk about the risks of investing in property. So in the investment world, especially in banking, that's one golden rule: diversify. That means spreading your wealth across different assets and investments. And yes, real estate can be, one of them too. But never ever concentrate everything into just one thing. And here is why, and here are the risks. First, liquidity risk. What does it mean? So imagine you're an expat. Suddenly, you or your family needs money. And with a property, you cannot just sell one bedroom and keep the rest, right? You either sell the entire home or nothing. And that takes time, paperwork, and the right market conditions as well. So, but with a liquid investment portfolio, you can sell a portion quickly, easily. And two, the risks about limited flexibility with Permit B. For example, most expats in Switzerland, I guess you hold a Permit B, so which means you cannot just rent out your property freely. No short-term rentals, no subletting without approval. And so, for example, if you leave Switzerland or want to generate income one day, that option may be blocked. On the other hand, an investment portfolio, you can take it everywhere with you in any format. And number 3, we have to talk about concentration risk. So you're basically putting all your eggs in one basket, one asset, one country, one market. And what happens if, one, your property prices drop, right? And what if the interest rates go up and suddenly, you need to pay more on the interest, right? And what if you just lose your job and can't pay the mortgage? So you're basically stuck with one massive liability, so not an income producing asset. So before you buy, ask yourself, is it really a strategic move to grow my wealth? Or am I locking up all my freedom for something that may not save me in the long run? So smart investors, they think in terms of balance instead of emotions. And now let's talk about who should still buy and who probably shouldn't. Again, let me be clear, I'm not anti-property, okay? I'm just pro-strategy. And who should buy a property in Switzerland? So if you already maxed out your investment account, and if your down payment is just a small part of your total wealth, and if you want to diversify with real estate, and if you're planning to stay in Switzerland long term, I would say 10, 15 years or more, and owning your own place gives you emotional peace. So I would say then yes, then buying can make more sense to you. But if buying a home already means locking up, 80% or more of your wealth, and if you're not sure you will stay here long term, or if you're on permit B and cannot easily rent it out, then probably you want to hit pause. So I would say renting combined with a smart goal-based investment strategy is still the smarter move for most professionals in Switzerland. That's just my honest opinion. So does the end of Eigenmietwert mean it's time to buy? I would say not necessarily. It's not a green light to rush into the market. It is a reminder to step back and think what actually fits your life and goals. So after this evaluation, whether you decide to buy a property in Switzerland or invest your money based on your personal goals, there are actually 2 ways I can help you. So if you still want to buy a property, I've actually created a step-by-step video that walks you through how to purchase your first property as a foreigner in Switzerland. You can check it out now. And if you're more interested in investing smartly and build your long-term wealth and retiring early, I've actually got both a free training and paid course that walk you through my full strategy. So I just wanted to be transparent here, but my honest advice is for you to start a free training first, see if it resonates, learn the framework, and then if you feel ready to go deeper, you can always decide whether the full program is right for you or not. I will drop all the links in the video description below, so I hope they're helpful, and I will see you in the next video or inside the training.